A lonely night 指先で繋がれるタイムライン顔のない言葉飛び交って孤独を煽ったあの子の叫びも泡と消えて一瞬で埋もれる There's nothing there指先で繋がれるタイムライン顔のない言葉飛び交って孤独を煽ったあの子の叫びも泡と消えて一瞬で埋もれる There's nothing there 明日世界が終わっていればいいのにと願うおとぎ話は残酷なまま続いてゆくから別の誰かになりたいわけじゃない自分を愛してみたいだけなのに People crying every night ハートを見せてよ People crying every night 無力で構わない People crying every night 君の痛みを People crying every night 僕も知りたいジュースを塗り替えるタイムラインくだらない理想に阻まれて自分を呪った他人の不幸せに群がる害虫のようここから抜け出したい Absolute Fiction 少女は今日も歩き続ける居場所を求めて空虚な嘘と分かっていても何のために一人が抱きしめてくれれば誰もが震えて愛に飢えてる People crying every night 一番の夢は People crying every night どうして叶わない People crying every night いつかわかるのか People crying every night 何か大切で
Good evening and welcome back to the Dwarven Fortress of Keskalokil, where last time I refilled my dwarf washing system with water, my dwarf washing system which has like proper functional block signalling, or at least that I hoped did, and discovered what was wrong with it, and that half of it seems to work properly. So like I'm quite pleased with that bit. What we found was that the new approach locking system that I had applied was miswired in one place, and I have a little note here that tells me which one, that question mark, N4 approach cuttle question mark, because as far as I can tell that's not actually wired up and to the thing it should be wired to, and instead N4 signal is wired to it instead. So we will probably want to fix that. I'm quite tempted before then just to test what happens if we add extra minecarts to the system, Because at the moment what we have is 2 minecarts. If we unpause, 2 minecarts trundling around here. We can see one of them there with a greenish dwarf in it and one of them there with a purple dwarf in. And those seem to work fine. But I think we should be able to go up to 4, at which point we'll have 1 unoccupied track circuit and 4 occupied ones, and the unoccupied one will like move backwards around the loop, and eventually everyone will get back to the start, but they will get to be properly washed in the meantime. So I think we can do this, and I think the way that we do it is that we pull the lever to say that S5 is occupied. What is this dog called Zaneg Ficordella? That's a very odd name for a dog. Anyway, S5. So if we pull the S5 fill lever, then that will forcibly mark the station, which is S5, as having a minecart in it, even when it doesn't. And at that point, we can then, that will then stop any other minecart returning to the station, and then we can install the next minecart in the station. That's the theory anyway. Oh, and incidentally, this is now Dwarf Fortress 51.08, which was released yesterday. And one of the bug fixes, let me find the release notes. One of the bug fixes says stop projectiles and falling creatures from falling through thin floors if they hit a sideways obstacle first. And I think that bug might be why we keep finding goblin teeth in the upper levels of the fortress. I think that when goblins get their teeth punched out by dwarves, some of the... oh dear, there are dead bits of rabbit there. Let's get rid of those. Their teeth tend to fly through the air and then hit, say, a tree, and then fall through the ground underneath the tree, and then thus end up in our corridors and need to be tidied up. So yes, that makes sense, and maybe that will stop happening. There are several people here. Are any of them going to pull that lever? Oh dear, a dog's died. Well, it happens. Someone is going to pull the lever, but not any of the people who are just hanging around near the lever. That would be far too convenient. Right, someone has now pulled the lever, which means that now, if I've got this right, that signal will stay firmly engaged, because S5, which is this thing here, will be marked as permanently occupied. So now what I can do is I can pull that lever. Do I pull that lever again? No, I don't actually need to pull the lever again yet. We want to load up 2 minecarts. So we will add a new route, which will be called Dwarf Washer SC. It will have a stop, which will be in exactly the same place as all of the others. The stop will have the same condition. That's ride north immediately always as SB. We usually do it that way round, and then we'll assign a minecart to it. That one appears to be unused. And a masterwork, so that seems like a good plan. Right, so the unfortunate dwarf down here is now, the unfortunate dwarves who are currently in the dwarf washer will now get stuck there for a bit while someone collects an additional minecart and puts it into place, but here comes someone. And actually they will continue to get stuck there because the minecart SB will here comes someone to ride SB, will descend there, but that won't clear the signal. So now we have 3 dwarves stacked up at the signals approaching the station. So now let's create a 4th route called, no, that's the stop. We don't want to rename the stop. Route 34, which is now Dwarf Washer SD. It has a stop that's in the same place as all of the others. The stop has the same condition as all of the others. Ride north immediately, always. And we assign Dwarf Washer SD a minecart. I may be running out. No, there's another Masterwork minecart. But actually, before we let that one loose, let's set that to never, we should pull this lever, because we want, when this minecart leaves, we want it to mark that section as empty. One child is throwing a tantrum, and another one is withdrawing from society in order to make an artifact. Oh, the forgotten beast Omethu has come. We're collecting them down there. A towering quadruped composed of solid salt. It has wings and it appears to be emaciated. Beware its deadly dust. I'm not sure. Possibly.
That's definitely something that was made entirely of salt for no reason.
Yeah, I think we may have another. I think this may be a new one, because I don't think you get told when one of your old familiar forgotten beasts returns.
Yeah, I don't recognise the name. I think this is the second one.
Come on, someone pull that lever.
I mean, I suppose it's only fair that the game forgot the previous one.
I think some child is getting into fights again. Who are you fighting? You're mostly failing to fight, to be fair. Come on, return that lever so that we can launch the minecart. Because there are like dwarves stuck down there waiting for this lever to be pulled. I mean, I'm sure they're all getting very good at swimming. You're still only a novice swimmer, actually. We may as well keep you there for a bit longer. Yeah, actually, they're all only novices, so I mean, that's better than dabbling. Oh no, you're adequate. But like, yeah, none of them is starving. They can stay there a bit longer while we try to find someone to pull that lever. What are you doing? Are you lugging a rotted... Oh right, that's now rotted down to skeleton, at which point it's probably worth... Yeah, let's unforbid the skeletons, because those can now probably be processed into beak dog bone bracelets. Looks like the beak dogs that the goblins brought with them have now all rotted down properly. Right, Ignish Kibnoram has claimed the Craftsdwarf's workshop and is currently collecting objects, it looks like. Good. Come on, someone, pull the lever. Oh, maybe this someone is coming to pull the lever. No, they're coming to collect some wood. I mean, all the dwarves are happily oscillating in the, well, okay, not entirely happily, oscillating in the, doesn't feel anything upon improving swimming. Indeed, she seems really rather, yes, unable to cheer up here. She is haggard and... not doing well. Is she in the military? Because I understand that military training can cheer people up. But once she's learnt to swim, if she spends enough time in this swimming pool, we can stick her in the military. Someone come and pull the lever, please. I mean, still, we want these guys to learn to swim, so like, it's not actually urgent. I'm just getting bored. We're not wasting this time. Right, lever pulled. So now, if this minecart sets off, this flip-flop will clear, and the next and this minecart will then be allowed into the station. And then all of the minecarts will shuffle along one step, we hope. So dwarf washer SD, flip that to always, and wait for someone to come and ride it. So as you can see, it's not that complicated to add minecarts to this system. What's slightly more complicated, even though I airily waved off the question of how it would work last session, is how you remove minecarts from the system. Right, there we are. So our fourth person has just got onto a minecart. Currently has no swimming skills at all. Right, well, you're going to learn. But now we should find that then this minecart advances up out of there and all the other ones advance one step eventually. So there goes one. And that one advances. And that one advances. And that one advances. And then the minecart that's waiting in the station can advance again as soon as anyone feels like riding it. And then they'll all shuffle on another step. So we have what looks like a working signalling system. Albeit one that's full of happy dwarves, but like some of them might like learning to swim. Dabbling swimmer now. She's still only novice. Okay, do we need to get you some better clothes? No, your clothes are fine. Just because, oh, well, apart from that cloak. That cloak wants replacing. Let's make some leather cloaks. We probably haven't made many clothes recently. Bet we have a surplus of leather. Not much leather around, actually. We got some cloth. We mostly seem to have empty bins here. The child is still not in that workshop, so another giant Kia has got into fights. And the dwarf washer advances another step. Quite a slow process, but right. So I'm quite pleased with the state of this dwarf washer now. Right. So I did mention that the thing that I'm a little more concerned about is how we take minecarts out of the system safely, because the way we put them in was that we marked the station as occupied and then stuck a minecart in it, and the minecart departed and automatically marked it as unoccupied. I mean, at least for the second one. But if we're going to, if we try to do the same trick when removing them, then we can remove a minecart perfectly well, but then it'll be marked, then the station will be marked erroneously. Right, looks like those two corpses are both not going to be butchered. Then the station will be erroneously marked as occupied. But if we then pull the lever that marks it as unoccupied, then the next minecart will immediately enter that section, but it will still end up being marked as unoccupied because the lever will still be pulled, and therefore the next minecart will come in and there will be a disaster as minecarts crash into one another. And I have an idea for how you might fix this, which is that you might actually use a pressure plate to clear that signal while you're removing by having the minecart removed via a pressure plate. So I wonder if that might be feasible. So it probably involves some complicated track carving to make it work. I suppose we could just push the minecart south onto a pressure plate, but we don't really want it to stop there. We need it to go one square further. An alternative approach, that was an interesting thing. So someone came up to ride the minecart, but because I think they did it just before the signal cleared, the rollers immediately propelled them back onto the track stop, and so they changed their mind and went off again. And now presumably someone will come to ride it again successfully this time. So we might have enough space to build like some kind of system for removing minecarts, but an alternative might be to simply have one cycle, there it goes, simply to have the minecarts reconfigured into push off north rather than ride north, and then they will end up untenanted. Again, someone not quite launching it. They'll end up untenanted, and then we can just drain the water out, and the fact that causes mass derailments won't be such a problem. So just wondering what we can build sensibly. Yep, someone attempting to ride the minecart, but it's not ready yet. No, it's still not ready. It does seem to cause people to fall out of it rather inelegantly. Like the person there, the dwarf there, briefly appeared to have fallen over. Right, mysterious construction underway. Right, now you can ride the minecart. Is someone going to come and do it? So I think now that we've proved that this does work and it works with 4 people, let's go for the crude approach for now, and just switch all of the southern dwarf washers. No, not to. No, I did. Did I just add a stop somewhere completely useless? No, I didn't. Good. Switch all of the southern dwarf washers to push off north. And that will then mean that all of the mine carts will be empty. We can see one of them's already running empty now. And then we can safely drain, well, relatively safely drain the water out. But like, my hope is that this is doing a decent job of training swimming in people. You're adequate. Are you in a useful? You're not in the correct squad. Ral Duralrith can now be appointed to splatter the lyrical seas of turmoil. Welcome to the army. You were still only novice, yes.
There's some minecarts wobbling back and forth there, but maybe that's deliberate.
Sorry?
There's some minecarts wobbling back and forth there, but maybe they're legitimately waiting for the next.
Yep, that's precisely what's meant to happen, because I've stuffed the system with far too many minecarts. Well, no, with precisely the maximum number of minecarts. So now there's only ever one unoccupied section.
I see you're playing minecarts of Hanoi.
And so most of the time, most of the minecarts will be sitting at signals. But that's fine, because all we want to do is keep the dwarves immersed in water. They can perfectly well learn to swim in a minecart that's just going backwards and forwards repeatedly. We just need to ensure that it goes backwards and forwards repeatedly, not for so long that they starve, or like start suffering from terrible sleep deprivation or thirst or whatever. Noting that I think it's still salt water in there for reasons I don't fully understand.
But they do get out eventually.
Yes. So the last person is now about to depart, about to get out, because I've configured things so that the people are now getting out of the mine carts and setting them going unoccupied. For some reason, someone's left a pile of clothes there. Oh, was that the person I just appointed to the army? And so they've decided they now need to go and put a uniform on, as they've just dumped all their clothes at the entrance to the minecart ride. How very unhelpful. They're apparently storing items in barrels at the moment. Yes, appears to be wearing nothing but water. Go and get some armour on, you stoat, otherwise you're going to get unhappy. Okay, apparently you're wandering around with no clothes on, being blissful, remembering a bath. Okay. I don't think you even count the dwarf washer as a bath. Right, so now we can try to drain the water, even though maybe we should set all the conditions for those stops to don't try to... hang on, that was the wrong one. We want all of the conditions for the south ones to launch when full, when they will never be full. No, wrong button again, that one. I think that's the correct number. So that then the minecarts people won't keep coming and pushing the minecarts. Right, so now we should drain the water and fix the bit of wiring that we found that was which we worked out was wrong. Yes, we do need plenty more military dwarves. A beak boat. I can do this really. A beak dog bone bed.
Yes, I see why that was fiddly.
That's nice.
Actually, the actual name of the artifact looks even harder.
Oh gods, am I going to have to read that now? Its name is Faded Fed the Slick Goldenrod Dusts, or in Dwarvish, Erdinked Kuds this Tunvesh. So there. This is a beak dog bone bed. All craft dwarfship is of the highest quality. It is studded with billen, decorated with willow, and encircled with bands of billen. This object menaces with spikes of beak dog bone, billen, dolomite, and amber opal. On the item is an image of dwarves in Drunian leather. The dwarves are travelling. The artwork relates to the foundation of Boardwhips by the Born Tomb of the Orbs of Yore in the late winter of 100. So that was about the same time that that Keskalokil was founded, but it's actually relating to the founding of a different site.
One wonders why you had to scroll down by a line there, and what the rest of this enormous dialogue box was.
Yes, the GUI design is not always sensible.
All GUI design is not of the highest quality.
No. I mean, it's more intuitive than the old one. Right, so, well, I would put that in the king's bedroom, but we don't have a king anymore. We do appear to have a dead cat in the king's room, though. Let's get rid of that.
Is there going to be another king along in a while?
I don't know. I think the king has gone somewhere else. So we can look up our civilization, the Orbs of Yore.
Seems perfect.
So there is a king. Their name is Vukar Ugith Muthkat. And I'm pretty sure that Vukar Ugith Muthkat is not in our fortress. So even though we are nominally the capital, the king is somewhere else. The king is in another fortress. Okay, yes, now there is a slight issue that the dwarves are going and trying to collect these minecarts, which have all been swept off. Well, many of them have been swept off the tracks.
I mean, fair. If I had succeeded a previous king who had got killed in a fight with terrifying hordes of goblins in this fortress, I might decide to go live in a different one.
Yes. This one is apparently a bit close to the front line. So once they've picked up the loose mine carts, the dwarves will carry them back to stack them all up here, I hope, and won't try to set them going again. Yes, that way they will be there ready to be set going again at the next. We can then launch them one at a time, carefully next time by turning the various routes on one by one. So I think that will be fine. So about this wiring then. So what I had done incorrectly was that I had wired the entry sensor for section N3, this here, to the N3, the N4 signal roller, rather than the N4 approach control signal gear assembly, rather than the N4 approach control gear assembly. The problem with this is essentially that it turned, because the way that gear assemblies work is that they toggle their state each time any of their inputs toggles its state, which means that essentially they act as an exclusive OR on their inputs. But what we actually wanted was an inclusive OR, which is why we had two separate gear assemblies, so that each one of those would toggle on one of the inputs, and if either of them was engaged, it would engage the output, the rollers. Conveniently, we don't. I don't think we have to disconnect any of the old wiring, because if we wire this additionally to the approach control gear assembly, then what we've effectively got is A XOR B or B, which is the same, I think, as A or B. So I don't have to carefully de-wire things to get A or B. I can just add things so that we replace A XOR B with A XOR B or B. So all we need to do is link that plate to, thank you, you've named your shield, to N4 approach control, in addition to having it linked to N4 signal. And I hope that will then fix our problem. Not certain, but I hope it will. So we now have 4 minecarts stacked up here, along with like a pile of other things. Oh, we have a ghost. Amos Rigothuradim, ghostly doctor, has risen from the dead and is haunting the fortress. P.S. Here's a beak dog skeleton we can unforbid. I thought we got all the corpses out of the river. I think it gets it right, because I think precisely that the AX or B has brackets around it, and so AX or B ends up as false, but because we're ORing it with B again, then we get true in the case where A is true and B is true. The other two cases I think will come out correct. Feel free to draw me a complete truth table if you're worried. But it's not like we haven't broken this several times already. Let's work through it. So if both of them are 0, then AX or B is 0, or B still 0, good. If they are if A is true and B is false, then AX or B is true, or B still true, good. If A is false and B is true, AX or B is true, or B true is true, good. If A and B are both true, then AX or B is false, or B, which is true, gives you true. Yes, I think it's pretty good. I mean, I've worked this out a couple of times already, but it doesn't do any harm to do it a few more times just to be on the safe side. Given how many times I have screwed up this logic. Oh, is that our lost? Nope, that's a completely different lost person. That's a child, I think, whose skeleton has ended up in a murky pool. Thing is that like irretrievable corpses are quite rare, because they basically have to end up in the river or the sea. And while admittedly I do keep spotting surprise goblins in the sea, I thought most of the people who had drowned, we had either managed to retrieve their body from the river, or they were long ago in the sea. Oh well, I can't really fix this by retrieving the body unless it's really convenient. Maybe I can find it in the list of in the stock list. It's quite a big stock list of corpses, isn't it? Well, maybe given it's a fairly fresh corpse, it'll be at the bottom. Amost. Let's just check if I can search for it, but I don't think I can. No, for some reason you can't search for corpses by name. Aren't that many of them. There seems to be a lot of agitated buzzard mangled skeletons. So those, I suppose they must have been dumped given they're forbidden, so presumably they weren't able to be butchered into useful bones. Oh yes, they're buzzards, sorry. I was thinking of giant keas, which are like big and useful. Oops. So, can we find Amos Thingamy in here? I mean, obviously there are ways to die that cause your body to be completely destroyed. Like falling into lava is a good one. So there's a previous salt quadruped forgotten beast, Mutt's mangled salt, as it now appears.
Oh yes, Mutt. Yes, that's a more familiar name. So the new one definitely is a different forgotten.
Yep, the world does actually have multiple forgotten beasts that are salt quadrupeds. Oh, there we are. Is that the one? No, that's a different Amost. I've found an Amost, but it's the wrong one. Right, I can't find their corpse. Oh well, let's carve a memorial to them. At least you can search for them here. I assume we have an adequate supply of slabs. Oh, I should unlock one of these floor hatches so that someone can easily get in and install those mechanisms, since they'll be bringing them in from up there. Oh good, people are cleaning some of the blood off the inside of the dwarf washer. Problem with having all this water moving around is it does tend to get blood stains everywhere. What are you guys? Are you also coming in here to clean? No, you're just coming in here because you like the place. Or possibly because I just unlocked an exit route. So yes, now everyone's using it as a way to get out of the fortress, because it's more convenient than going out through the front door. Yeah, I mean, someone has spotted that AX or B is an anagram of borax orb, which is like true, but we don't. I don't know that we have a way of making orbs in this. We can make scepters. We certainly have plenty of beeswax scepters, though I think we do have some borax somewhere. Okay, that looks like N3 detect is now wired up to N3 approach control. So that will probably work correctly. Let's relock that floor hatch and wait for people to stop hanging around in the dwarf washer. Well, dogs to stop hanging around in the dwarf washer mostly. No, they're just. I think all trying to go through the dwarf washer to get to somewhere else and failing, because I just locked the exit. Right, all the dwarves are out. Start the pumps, please. So it's traditional to put memorials in this temple. So let us pick somewhere. I think we need to deallocate one square of stockpile. Okay, that one's a hole in the floor, so it can't really be part of the stockpile anyway. Let's try again. That's now not part of the stockpile. And so possibly we can now install a slab there. Assuming that like that, right, there we are. I'm pleased to see my dwarves using weird weapons like scimitars.
Is this a new thing in the new version that they keep giving their weapons?
No, they definitely had the ability to name things in past. They might not bother telling me about it so much. And like, to be fair, I very rarely have had such active militaries. Justin asks, what's the regular grid of blinking equal signs every 5 by 5 squares in that stockpile? So what those are... Oh dear, we've lost someone else. What those are, I just discovered, are the tops of staircases. Why they... I'm not quite sure why those alternate showing the barrel and showing the stockpile rather than just showing one or the other. I think they would be alternating. Yes, here we can see a pair of mountain goat leather trousers on top of a staircase, and you'll note that that alternates between showing the object, the item, the mountain goat leather trousers, and the staircase. It seems that thus, if you put a stockpile over a staircase, it can still be a stockpile. But now, because the empty ground is marked as stockpile, you get alternating barrel and staircase rather than barrel and stockpile. So while it's trying to show you the staircase, it fails because it's showing you the stockpile instead. Damn it! I should remember that name. No, there it is. Dobar Monomisak. Let's quickly carve a memorial to them. No, maybe we'll find their body though. Yeah, I doubt it. It won't be a good memorial, but it'll be a memorial. Oh, I forgot to close the drains again. Going, why isn't it filling? And the answer is because you've still got you haven't put the plug in. Yes. We're just pumping the sea straight down into the caverns. You can see here.
We're going to dissolve that poor salt beast.
Curiously, I don't think you can dissolve salt like that in Dwarf Fortress. So I'm now slightly uncertain what salt is. I don't think it's the same as rock salt in Dwarf Fortress. We need to put more people into the military, don't we? Because, as I understand it, military training is really good for cheering people up. Or at least dwarves. Just wondering, why is there a turkey in here? Oh, because they're male, okay. Obviously hens should be kept up here where they... where they will lay their eggs properly. Right, I think we may now have successfully put the plug back in, and right. Let us read the memorial. This is an exceptional pudding stone memorial to Amos Rigoth Erdim. The slab reads, in memory of Amos Rigoth Erdim, born 38, bled to death, slain by the giant Kier umbral cell in the year 111, king of the orbs of yore in 111. At one with topaz. It is coated with water. So, killed by a giant Kier, eh? Still don't know where your skeleton's got to, mind. Just noticing that that there appear to be quite a lot of bits of, mostly of goblins in the trees. Aha! I have found Amos Rigoth Erdim's skeleton. Yes, they were in a tree and they got into a fight with a giant Kia. And then apparently we didn't know how to get them down. Let's build a quick staircase up there. I did just try to find if anyone's mocked up a kind of apple Kia called the iKia, but it's kind of hard to search for it on here. There was. It surely has it done. I couldn't find it. Like, we've built permanent staircases into these trees before in order to get things out of them, and like starving dwarves out of them. I hope that's close enough that someone can then climb into the tree and retrieve it. Oh, there's our other one. Right, we don't need to make that memorial, though I bet it's been made now. Yes. Because we found another corpse in a tree. Also, there's some nice clothes there. Well, some of it's nice anyway. Some of them are nice anyway. I should pay some attention to how deep the water is, shouldn't I? That's fine at the moment. People are still getting, or rather, yeah, I'm not too worried about that. We should probably stick another, since otherwise the slab will be lying around forever. Oh no, I didn't mean that. Actually, let's put it in a proper place. It's probably not a very good memorial because no one actually knows how he died yet because they haven't found his body. Or rather, they hadn't found his body at the point when they... Right, yes, now we can get the dead dwarf out of the tree. Here is someone bringing the dead dwarf home. Oh dear. Right, that one didn't die of getting into a fight with a giant Kia. They just got stuck in the tree because someone nicked their step ladder, probably. Well, once we finish building a staircase to get them out of the tree again, then we can bury them properly. And meanwhile, people will come and retrieve all of the deceased's belongings from the tree, from the other tree. Running out of wood again. Wonder what we're turning it into. I mean, we should probably remove more of the trees in the areas where we get into fights because they keep getting bits of goblins stuck in them. No one seems to have a use for that beak. Let's throw that away. That's the wrong one. I didn't mean mine. I meant chop trees down. Which will also get a few teeth out of the trees or other bits of goblin. It does take a little while to refill the dwarf washer at the moment. So we are going to want, when we start setting things going, to make sure that S5 and N5 are both fixed full until we've launched 3 of the 4 mine carts. So let's do that. Now can someone come and get this dead dwarf out of the tree, please? Let's just check we still have... Yes, we have spare caskets in quantity. Dispose of that cat skeleton while we're here. Okay, that's close to being adequately full. I think we want about halfway between 4 and 5, so... Dwarven child appears to be wrestling with a stray cat. Not in a very dangerous way. Yeah, I think maybe I've turned that off too early. Maybe not. We'll see. What are you mandating the construction of? We need 2 picks, 2 bins and 2 weapon racks, ideally. Also, do we not have a ban on exporting bins at the moment? Can we export bins? Because that would be nice. Copper picks are of course quite acceptable. We can stick them into weapon traps. Oh gods, have you child managed to get into such a vicious fight that they've died? They appear to have started by throwing vegetables at someone.
What's a sacred fate?
I think one of our religious leaders, yes, is the sacred fate. But yes, by virtue of repeatedly throwing vegetables at people, they annoyed someone sufficiently much that they got their neck broken or similar by being kicked in the throat. Maybe not, maybe it was something else that happened. Not sure it's clear how they died. But like they did get themselves into a fight, and yes. Is that enough water? I'm a bit concerned that might not be quite enough water. I wonder if we had a problem earlier that when we didn't have quite enough water in there, and so the minecarts went a bit too quickly. Let's pump in a bit more. That's probably enough. Right, please stop the pumps. That's enough water. I think the pumps have stopped, but it'll take a little while for things to settle down. Right, someone's been punching geese as well, it looks like. We got both of those corpses out of the trees. Not yet. Why are you not being removed from the tree? Right, you're right next to that staircase. I mean, I can fell the tree if I have to. Given that that corpse is not being acceptably removed from that tree, it's a walnut tree. Probably that one then. Let's fell that as well. Let's close some of these. I'm now slightly worried I might have put too much water in here. I think we'll be okay. Yeah, there's no very little 6 turning up. Right, how long do you think we have to wait for the water level to settle? I think once there are no 6s left, we're fine. Right, I think there are no 6s left in there. It's not quite level, but it's probably okay. So, and we've got both of the 5 levers pulled. So now we should be able to say, right, dwarf washer NA. We'll do this with empty minecarts initially. So NA I just reconfigured. Yes. Does that doesn't even have a minecart attached to it yet. So we should currently be in the situation where possibly NA we should like actually test the that everything works correctly for. SA we can just fill up. So SA set SA minecart going. So that's a minecart launched for NA. So we're going to watch this one quite carefully. So it's currently, we think it is going to be fine for a bit. It's sitting at N2, then departs from N2. So now it's entered block N2, which means that N2 is filling, N1 is emptying. That's all good. It should arrive at these rollers just after those doors close. Good. Which means it should sail straight past. That then triggers attempting to empty N2 and fill N3. It should also thus have triggered N4 approach control. Yes. It has also triggered N4 signal, which is an error, but not a problematic one, I think. So now it sits there briefly until the approach control clears and then it travels on. Right, that all looks good. So now we could do something about NB. By assigning that a minecart as well. Someone has named another shield. Right, we've now set SA going. So now we can release SB. One thing I will do though is to give these minecarts names if I can. Oh, I can't. I was hoping like I could name them by which of the routes they were operating. Hang on, what? Oh yes, that's waiting. No. Is there a mistake here? Or is that just waiting for the approach control to clear? Okay, why is S2 signal engaged? S2, yes, is showing as occupied at the moment. That's not correct. Possibly when we drained all the water out. Oh yes, when we drained all the water out, everything would have gone weird, of course. Right, let's set SB back to don't launch. Because of course, when we drained all the water out, all the minecarts were in weird places. They got manually hauled away, but no one actually fixed the state of all the track circuits. So the correct situation should be that this minecart is in section, has just passed S1 detect and is thus in section S1. So S1 should show as occupied, but S2, S3 and S4 all need to show as unoccupied. Let's start by doing S4 and S3 and then think about what we need in order to safely clear S2. Actually, since now nothing else is going to launch, it's fine, isn't it? I think, yes. So S2, S4, oops, and S3. No, don't mean fill, idiot. S4 empty. If I read out what I actually want to do, S4 empty, S3 empty, and S2 empty will then get those into the correct state. N didn't have anything shown as being in it anyway, so it's fine. Right, so a second minecart is now entering N. So now we could be brave and make route NC. Right, we're starting to mark various bits of S as empty. So this is probably going to make more errors. Well, we'll see. Yes, I'm highly suspicious that this is just going to screw things up in new and exciting ways. Right, NC is now underway. So now I want to stop forcibly filling N5. Right, so that SA minecart is now in the correct place. It is in section S4, and S4 is marked as occupied. S3 has managed to get into a state of looking occupied again, so let's fix that. This is because the levers were being pulled at the same time as the minecart was moving. S2 and S1, though, are correctly showing as clear. It's much safer to mark the track sections as empty when there isn't anything immediately waiting to go into them. I think if you do it when there is something immediately waiting to go into them, they tend to go wonky. This is not surprising. You want now? You want 3 more bins. Doesn't actually help then. Well, let's make 3 more copper bins. I feel like it's nice to occasionally make things out of different materials. Right, so N5 has now been reset, or rather not been reset, has been set adjusted so that it won't be permanently marked as occupied. So now we can finally set up dwarf washer ND. Which, like the other ones has one stop there. Conditions push off south immediately always, and we assign a minecart to it. And then that should then let NA back into the station again. So let's check. That one's in S4. So now S3, S2 and S1 all show as unoccupied. Good. Right, there's our 4th N minecart. So now this one here should stop oscillating and advance shortly. There it goes. Then this one should stop oscillating and advance. This one should stop oscillating and advance. Then this one should stop oscillating and advance. Yes, it has done, but we've also hidden autosave. Right, so now I just need to finish filling up the southern loop and then tell the dwarves to start riding them again. And I think we may finally have our signalling system working properly. So then obviously I have to work out how we do diverging and converging junctions. Actually, diverging junctions I think are pretty easy.
I was reading about those because I wondered what you meant by approach control. So I'm a bit surprised you don't have one already, because that's what the SimSync page said it was for.
Yes, I am slightly abusing the term approach control. So yes, in the real world, so the way in which my approach control is similar to the real world one is that it holds a signal at red for a while as until the train approaching it has been approaching it for a little while, until the track circuit immediately leading up to the signal has been occupied for a certain time. The way in which it's different is what its purpose is. In my case, it's to deal with the fact that my signalling system is a bit rubbish and can't respond very quickly. In the real world, it's to deal with the fact that train drivers are a bit rubbish. Or rather, it's to deliberately slow the train down. And while our trains do have speed here, we never run the trains so fast that we can't stop them instantly. So yes, while I call it approach control, it's not quite the same kind of approach control. I think diverging junctions are pretty easy, actually. You just stick a track stop in there and then use the departure and make it a stop on the route and make the departure conditions tell you which direction the minecart should leave in. This obviously you can only do in a dry place, but like if you're using your signalling for purposes other than getting dwarves wet, then you may as well put the junction somewhere. If you're like actually using it for transport, then you would. Then the junctions may as well be somewhere dwarf accessible. Converging is much harder because, oh yes, and on a diverging junction, then you need to have each of the pressure plates on the departure routes be all of them should mark the section containing the junction as being unoccupied again, and then everything just works. Converging junctions are much fiddlier because you need to cope with the race condition of having two minecarts arriving at the same time and make sure that they can't ever both go past their signals because both of them see the section ahead as unoccupied. So you need some kind of synchronization mechanism. I think one approach might be to have like some kind of oscillator that says that signal can be green for a little while, then we'll make it red, then we'll wait a bit, then we'll make that one green for a little while. So actually like ordinary traffic lights. But with that anded ORed, given the way round we're doing our logic, ORed with the and the section in front of you is unoccupied, or is occupied rather, signal. So I think you could do that. Oh dear, we keep finding dead birds. We getting bird flu in our fortress. That would be bad. Oh, that's unfortunate. There appears to be an injured dwarf here. Have you just had a collision with a minecart? Well, stop doing that. I hope someone comes and rescues you before the next minecart arrives. I mean, we could try marking that track section as occupied, but it's slightly hard to fix that. Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. So we now have an emergency. I mean, I've paused the game. It's not very emergency. In that someone has managed to have a quite painful incident with a minecart. And that means someone's going to come and rescue them. And that's a bit dangerous. Now, what we can do, we can attempt to mark that track section as occupied so that no minecart will enter it. We could try... Now, I don't think it matters if well, yes, actually what we can also do then is switch all of the north departure conditions to off. So that if a minecart does arrive, it won't immediately depart again. So essentially, thus, if no one gets to that lever fast enough, another minecart will probably come into the station. But then if we arrange that minecart doesn't immediately leave the station, then at least that will be the only minecart that comes into the station. So, like, the number of deaths here will be kept to a minimum. Okay, that's a death happened already, and they haven't even managed to... the minecart hasn't yet turned up. They haven't been run down by a minecart again, I don't think. Oh, okay, they have. Been hit by a maple minecart and then a cherrywood minecart.
So the problem with your signalling system is that minecarts obey it, but dwarves don't.
Yes. General problem with signalling systems, really. So...
Catweasel didn't either.
So, yes, there are now... But this minecart that has now arrived here, which I should be able to see in the list, surely. Yes. So there's now a minecart there, and that one is not set to depart. So that minecart will occupy that track circuit. So we can cancel the request to force that to red. That minecart will occupy the track circuit until someone has cleared up the dwarf. They'll have to find them first, but like that should happen soon enough.
See you on the Sunday, good night.
See you. Meanwhile, I hope someone is coming along to push one of these minecarts off, if I've got this right. I think SB, let's just check I have actually enabled SB. No, I haven't. Enable SB because someone has pulled the lever to mark SB as full. Oh, it's another vile force of darkness. Is it a big vile force of darkness? Or is it like 4 marked goblins who are going to turn tail and run? 5. Well, let's get the few remaining amphibious dwarves. And have them station themselves at the mouth of the river. Because if there are like 5 incoming goblins, 6 incoming goblins, it will probably not take much to kill them. Right, so that's 2 minecarts launched into the south section. We can now launch the 3rd one. Oh, right, snatchers, probably spotted by the military. Right, yes, there's one goblin thief right on the edge of the map. There's the other, right, good. As long as they stay on that side of the river, I don't really mind. Let's get slightly more of an army than one person. Oh! Well done, you managed to block a crossbow bolt. That's quite a lot of incoming crossbow bolts. Well, I'm sure you're getting better at blocking things. I think I still want slightly more dwarves to turn up first. The dwarves disagree and have leapt into the river. I mean, you were chosen for this job because you know how to swim, I hope, if I haven't screwed this up. So you'll live. Did you just, like, very rapidly kill that goblin? Yes, I think. Oh no, I think that's the one that happened. Yes, like, that was a very short-lived goblin crossbowman. There's another dead goblin. They're not lasting long, these guys. How many of the invaders are still alive? Right, 2 of them are busy drowning. I think the thieves have already cleared off. And yes, we have 2 remaining goblins, but they're in the water and thus will not be lasting for very long. Right, just waiting for those goblins to drown and waiting for someone to send the third minecart into the southern loop. Right, goblins drowned. That was pretty efficient. Stand down the military. Dump that corpse. Unforbid some of the bits left behind by dying goblins. Possibly we should make it easier for us to access these tiny centre of the river islands. Actually, that may be the only one we can't currently access. I'm getting concerned we might be running out of soap. I should consider making more soap shortly. I think one of the goblins may have been chopped up into little pieces. Go on, set the next minecart going. So, have I screwed this up somehow? Or have I in fact just got confused? SC is the one I'm waiting for. Oh right, they'd already launched SB and I was thinking I was waiting for SC. Now someone will launch that thing. Oh, that's a mussel, isn't it? Yeah, that's fine. Right, yes, you have successfully found the surgeon killed by the minecart. Now someone will come and clear them out the way. And then we can turn the railway on again. Seems to be a surprisingly large amount of water coming up the pump at the moment. I wonder where it's coming from. Right, we now have 3 minecarts going around the south loop, so we can now operate that lever. Tribute is being unloaded. I bet it's not very exciting. The Speechless Diamond has sent us 1 sheep wool hood, 1 llama wool rope, 5 donkey cheese, 1 bronze buckler and 1 silty clay. That's nice. Observe my restraint in not trying to sing that to the tune of the 12 Days of Christmas. Right, we need to wait for this square to be more or less cleared, because otherwise people are going to keep coming into it to collect things. My hope is that a bunch of these things are like going to get put into a stockpile somewhere, because they're presumably now not owned by anyone other than the minecart, obviously. Oh right, no, those are owned by people. Well, would you mind collecting your rubbish, please? Because we can't allow the minecarts to proceed until you've cleared your rubbish. Right, so that lever has now been activated, so now we can set SD going. And indeed, possibly, we could actually start allowing people to ride it because it's all organised now. Let's actually make all of the south loop rideable. Right. At least the corpse has been removed. And can be properly delivered somewhere. Like that square is presumably, like all of these, marked as don't go here. Actually, we could, it now occurs to me, usefully adjust things a bit, because many of the tracks here are not actually in use. So that should, by giving people more sensible routes, that should discourage people from going on to the incorrect places. Good night. Are we stopping very shortly? So do any of these have tasks associated if I just pick a random one? No, I think whoever it is who's decided they own all these clothes, they haven't come to pick them up yet. I'm going, do I just allow the minecarts to proceed, or will that cause the owner of these clothes to get run down by them? I think I don't. Let's take advantage of the fact that we have 2 loops available. The people can at least ride the south loop. What are you doing? Oh, you're cleaning the blood up. Yes, that's a good plan. I mostly want someone to pick up all of the cruft from here, but... Who is Kib Sanrebaban and why are they not tidying up their rubbish? Because they're a child. Oh, they are tidying up their rubbish, more or less. They're just also haggard. And so possibly not paying very much attention to what they should be doing. That's about the right direction. Maybe they are going to pick up all their stuff. Excellent. Right, now they, yes, I think improving the marking other things around here as not as not restricted has helped them with picking things up. But yeah, they do still need to like collect all of their other rubbish, so we'll leave that section, that track not running for now, because at least no one's going to die sitting on the minecarts. Just do my usual thing of explore everyone who's on the minecarts and see if they can swim yet. You can swim. Are you in the military? No. Bomrek Sezen Kendok, Duke of Shoot Test, now knows how to swim. They may not know anything else, but they can learn. The other people riding the minecarts are currently only dabbling swimmers. Right, so we appear to have the lower minecart loop more or less functional, and people are like learning to swim in it. You're an adequate swimmer. You should join the military. Let's check the name again. Libash Kozotilesh. Right. Hooray! So we've already got 2 more people in military roles. Yeah, there's still a pile of rubbish there that I'm slightly reluctant to put things on top of. Plus, oh, I put someone into the military. They immediately stripped all their clothes off and dumped them wherever they were, which turned out to be in the dwarf washer. Oh well. They'll get collected the next time we drain it. In future, I should wait until people get out of the dwarf washer before putting them in the military. Just checking. Yes, right. You're already in the military. Well, that's because I just put you in it and you dumped all your clothes on the floor. Yes. You also seem relatively cheerful anyway, but you're going to a meeting apparently. Why are you going to a meeting? Who are you going to a meeting with? Are you sure it's wise to go to this meeting naked? You are actually having a meeting with the mayor. I mean, I suppose the Duke should occasionally have meetings with the mayor. I'm slightly concerned by the way that the mayor is apparently in prison. Oh, maybe they're not. Oh no, is that the mayor? No, that's not the mayor. Why is the mayor wandering off? Don't you have like a meeting to conduct? Oh right, you're going to your office, I think. I see, yes. Oh, okay. He's really unhappy. Oh well. I yelled at someone in charge. That was satisfying. Well, that's probably for the best. Right. So we have the south loop working still, except that I've accidentally dumped everyone's clothes on the floor. The north loop waiting to be ideally waiting for this child to like pick up all of their craft. But we might just start it working anyway and accept that it might kill the child. And yes, things are kind of working properly. But possibly we need to be a bit careful about people getting run down by minecarts. Anyway, I think that will do for tonight. That's all quite satisfactory. We fought off a goblin invasion with 0 casualties. And maybe next time we should actually get back to the plan to drain the river, because that's going to be quite a job. But I think it would be useful. We should possibly try to drain this murky pool as well, because like at the moment it's got a dead dwarf in it and we should fix that. So until then, I will say good night. Let's find a nice place to watch. Yeah, that looks good. And we will see you on Friday. Good night.